The last skill we're going to spend a little time on in this module are questions. And questions really are a multi-purpose intervention. If we can get really good at asking good, curious questions, and some of that can be definitely coupled with like our reflections and doing some good summarizing and pieces around that, we can go a long way in engaging with and understanding, our clients' truth and their perspective and their experiences. So questions help clients think about their situation in a very explicit and systematic way. It helps to clarify the situation, especially when we ask clarifying questions. It can encourage a client to consider alternatives, and that doesn't necessarily mean that we're questioning their truth, but we often are posing or are asking questions to have them think about something a bit differently, to kind of think about change, and it solicits and obtains information and feedback. So again, the purpose of this multi-purpose intervention or skill that we're using to obtain that information, check the validity of it, focus attention on some aspect. We want to direct a conversation in a certain way for our specific purpose, right? Because we have a purpose to what we're doing with our clients. It encourages and stimulates participation. It can get feedback. It keeps the interaction going. And it can communicate and solicit agreement on something. So there's different kinds of questions that we ask, and it's really along a continuum of open to closed questions. So open questions, like an example would be, what would you like to talk about? I can take that about any direction that I want to, right? That is a really, really open question. Something more moderate that maybe focuses this a bit more. What would you like to talk about in relation to your new diagnosis, or something like that? So it's, what do you want to talk about is still very broad, but we're focusing it in. You can already see that. And then a closed question would be, did you get the results of the test yesterday? Right? So these are classified on this continuum about the freedom or restriction that it offers a client, the direction to take, the response they want to give. And it also, is classified in a sense around responsibility. So open questions put more responsibility or more burden, for lack of a better word, on the client, because their response needs to be more, it can be more. Whereas a closed question, more responsibility really kind of lies with us. At least there's less responsibility for the client to add more, to be more verbose, have more language around that. So neither one is good or bad. I encourage students really to try and practice open questions in this class, because to really craft a non-leading, good open question does take some time and skill to develop. We're pretty good at asking closed questions, I think, often, but they both serve a purpose. So there's, it's neither good nor bad, better or worse. It's just what's going to best serve our purpose. So again, open questions give the most freedom over the interaction, what they're going to share. There's a respect for their autonomy in those questions. It allows the client to introduce topics, take things in their direction that's important to them, to tell what they feel is valuable. So those are really good reasons to use those open questions. There are reasons we need closed questions. We need precise details. We need facts. We need information. It can also help reluctant clients or folks that are maybe new to the process sort of initiate that participation. If they're hesitant, it's easier to have one-word answers or very short answers to questions, so it can kind of help with that. And if maybe we're needing to harness attention to focus folks a bit, it can also, provide that little opportunity to share what's important, but at times that might be helpful to our purposes as well. So again, look at these slides. Which ones are open and which ones are closed? So before this happened, what did your life look like? I think that would be a very open-ended question. So asking that open question. When you get home, do you take out the trash? Yes, right? If we can answer yes, no, pretty short answers to things, that tells us that it's closed. Now, you can have, I don't know, my teen clients in the past were pretty good at making any question a closed-ended question or a short answer to a question. So again, asking open questions doesn't always mean that a client's gonna, expand upon that. But you can kind of look at these. These are some examples of some open and closed-ended questions. The question of why. Why did you do that? Why did you leave the house at that time? Why do you not like school? Why, right? Like we ask a lot of why questions, and they can be difficult. It's not like this is an absolute no-no. But if you've ever said to me, well, why did you do that? That to me sometimes often has this um, degree of judgment and blame to it, and it makes me feel like I have to account for my behavior or my feeling. Um, it might ask for a degree of insight that they don't know. I don't know why, right? And that might be the response that somebody gives. And it can quickly, again, some of these things come together or turn into a disagreement or just, again, kind of a pushback. So if you can try, especially in class, to practice reformulating a why question into something else. If you think about this, you said you wouldn't like anyone around here again. I don't, I don't. Why don't you like anyone, right? If we answer, and even if we use a different voice tone, why don't you like anyone? It's hard. There's something about why. If we could say, tell me about how you do feel around, about people around here. So ask that open question in a way that just makes it less of that judgment, that account for behavior, maybe that blame that can feel like it can go with our why questions. Again, there's no right or wrong per se. It's just being thoughtful about what might come with a why question. And just a quick quote, because answers exist only to questions. Why questions? If we want to ask a why question, why questions? Because answers only exist only to questions, right? So if we want to hear from our clients, we want to understand more, we're asking these good questions.